good.
Very good.
Short and sweet.
Do you swear by Almighty God that the evidence you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Not sure I believe the elected. I have. No. Thank you. Who would know?
Now, yes, I think it was all done very seamlessly, Mr. You've been sworn, Mr. McCarthy, haven't you?
I have.
Yes, would you like us to do it again? No, very well.
Your full name is Stephen McCarthy.
Yes, it is.
For the Commission previously.
Yes.
Could I ask you to start reading your brief at paragraph 6, please?
Events after the 4th of September 2010 earthquake. I attach an aerial map of 617 Colombo Street to indicate which buildings are located at this address. Annexure A. 617...
Could we just pause there and look at Annexure A, please?
It's like this.
It's not a very clear map, but you have a large white area surrounded partially by green, 143 Tuam Street.
Yes.
Yes, and then a dark area with 2 red spots, which I think you label 617. And then you have another green area, which you've labelled 625. Now, is that also 623 as well? The green area?
Yes, it is.
Yes, thank you. Right, can you just continue at paragraph 6, please?
617 Colombo Street is a large premises, and the council's web map records note that the property is also known as 143 Tuam Street, switched on Gardner, 623 Colombo Street, JJ Club, and 625 Colombo Street, Silk Bowl Food Post, which is downstairs.
Do you think that might be Silk Road rather than Silk Bowl? Because you call it Silk Road in paragraph 10.
I think that is correct, but I think what Mr. McCarthy is saying, that's what is on the rapid assessment form, but I think it... Mr. McCarthy, is that correct? It's Silk Road on the building? Don't you know?
I really don't know.
No, thank you. We'll come back to that. And the last sentence on paragraph 6, please.
Sydney. The aerial map attached indicates which parts of the building were sometimes referred to as 143 Tuam Street, 623 Colombo Street, and 625 Colombo Street. However, I note that the entire building is in fact 617 Colombo Street. A level 1 rapid assessment was carried out for 143 Tuam Street, first floor Respawn Limited, on 5th of September 2010, which resulted in a green placard, Annexure B. A level 1 rapid assessment was also carried out for 143 Tuam Street, ground floor, switched on Gardner. The assessment form was signed on 5th of September 2010 and resulted in a green placard, Annexure C. A Level 2 rapid assessment was carried out on 7 September 2010, which stated that the building address was 143, while the actual address was 617 Colombo Street. The stated building name is switched on Gardner, minor damage noted. Under general comments, it is recorded, recommend inspection of upper level and repair cracks in brick walls. Inspection at 143 only, Annexure D. I note that the building assessment dated 7 September 2010 has a beaker stamp on it. I understand at that time at the time that Colliers, as a property manager, engaged Becker to carry out building inspections of the buildings that it managed. It is possible that this assessment was carried out by Becker as part of this process, and therefore was carried out on behalf of the building owners, rather than being an assessment carried out by the volunteer engineers as part of the civil defence emergency. A Level 1 rapid assessment was carried out for 625 Colombo Street, Silk Road food post, on 5 September 2010, which resulted in a green placard, Annexure E. A Level 1 rapid assessment was carried out for 623 Colombo Street, JJ Club, on 5 September 2010, which resulted in a green placard, Annexure F. A Level 1 rapid assessment was carried out for 617 Colombo Street, Sampan House, on 5 September 2010, which resulted in a green placard, Annexure G.
Could I ask you to pause there, please? Could you go to Annexure E, please?
Yes.
And if you look towards the top where it says building name.
Yes, it refers to Silk Road food post.
Right. Okay, thank you.
The Becker Report, BUI COL 617-625.0011.7 on the Royal Commission's secure website states that 2 rapid assessments of the building were undertaken by Becker on 10 September 2010 and 15 September 2010. The Council has been unable to locate any record of receiving those rapid assessments from Becker or the building owners. As the building received green placards in September and the Council had not received any notification of the building being potentially unsafe, no further assessments would have been carried out by the Council. On 26 February 2011, a Level 1 rapid assessment was carried out, which resulted in a red placard on 617-625 Colombo Street, Annexure H. Under general comments, the inspector has noted that the front facade has completely collapsed onto the street and that it was too dangerous to place a placard. The next day, 27th of February 2011, there were 2 further Level 1 rapid assessments carried out on 617 Colombo Street, one for Sampan House and one for Respawn Switched On Gardener, Annexure I. This time they both resulted in a yellow placard. Under comments, the inspector has written for Respawn Switched On Gardener, parapet damage, and for Sampan House, neighbouring parapet, isolated risk from neighbouring building. As outlined above, 617 Colombo Street was a large building which was often referred to as different addresses. The rapid assessment form dated 26th of February 2011 states that the address is to be confirmed. 623 Colombo Street has been crossed out and replaced with 617 Colombo Street. There is no building name. The assessment carried out on 27th of February 2011 states that the building is 617 Colombo Street and the building name is Sampan House. It is possible that the 2 assessments were carried out on adjacent premises. I also attach a photograph taken of the building after the 22 February earthquake, Annexure J. The photograph shows the part of 617 Colombo Street which has collapsed. It is likely that this part of the building was actually referred to as 623 Colombo Street, and this correlates with the rapid assessment forms completed, as the front facade of what is referred to as 623 Colombo Street has collapsed onto the street, while Sampan House has minimal damage. Application of relevant legislation in the Council's earthquake-prone policy.
Can I just interrupt you there, because just wanting to follow. Do you agree that the facade of 625 collapsed into the street as well?
The downstairs facade, it does appear to have.
Because that's where it seems Mrs. Donaldson was killed.
The 623 is the upstairs tenancy,
I see.
and 625 is the downstairs tenancy.
Ah.
It appears that the facade on both the upper and the ground level appear to have collapsed onto the road. The upstairs tenancy, as I understand, sir, is the JJ's. It's a dance studio of some description.
Thank you.
Under the provisions of the Building Act 1991, the building was deemed to be earthquake prone because it was constructed of unreinforced masonry. The building was strengthened in a two-stage project in 1994 to meet the requirements of Section 66 of the Building Act 1991. The work included adding extra walls in a north-south direction, adding an overlay to the first floor to provide a diaphragm and connecting this to the walls, and tying existing brick parapets back to the roof system. This work strengthened the building in excess of the requirements set in the Building Act 1991, but the strengthening was unlikely to have met the increased standard in the Building Act 2004 and 2005 regulations. The Building Act 2004 had no provision deeming certain buildings to be earthquake prone. Rather, the Building Act 2004 and the relevant 2005 regulations, which defined the level of strength below which a building could be classed as earthquake prone, raised the threshold level significantly from about 10% of new building standard to about 33% of the new building standard. This meant that the buildings that had been strengthened prior to the commencement of the relevant 2005 regulations would probably be earthquake prone under the new standard. The building at 617 Colombo Street was noted as earthquake prone prior to 4 September 2010. The strengthening work referred to above was undertaken prior to the introduction of the Earthquake Prone Buildings Policy 2006. The policy did contain a separate Section 3 related to heritage buildings as required by Section 131 of the Building Act 2004. However, there was no further building work undertaken that would necessitate an application of Section 3 of the policy to this building. If a building consent application had been received, an assessment of the application would have been made to see if it could be considered to be a significant alteration as defined in the policy. If the work was in this category, the procedure in the policy would have been followed. See Section 1.7 of the policy. In 2009, there was a proposal for a new kitchen facility. The work was started, but the owner had not advised the council that the work was completed by September 2010. The consent was valued at less than $50,000 and did not affect the structural support of the building. The building's rateable value was $2.17 million, and so the value of the work was less than 25% of that value. Therefore, the work was not a significant alteration, and the 2006 policy did not require strengthening work to be done.